Welcome back to a new video. Just finished my morning 5K run in Belgian paradise. These Mexico City lungs have been put to good use. It's incredible how good I am at cardio when I come down from that Mexico City mountain back to the Netherlands, but really Belgium. I just wanted to say the lowlands. Anywho, top 5 worst moments of my life. If you've been following the channel for many years, some of these might sound familiar, and some of these I've never talked about before. So let's go. This is now in no particular order. Number 1, classic, have to throw it back to the time when I received my cancer diagnosis. My doctor told me I was going to require a full-on jaw amputation after they had discovered a tumor in my jawbone. About a month and a half before that, I broke up with the girlfriend that I had at the time, who I was still madly in love with. Long story short, I was living with her in Stockholm. She's not dead, Swedish. And the plan was to move to Sydney, Australia together, where she was going to study and I was going to get a job and then long live happily after. I just had like this pain in my jaw, so I was like, babe, you go ahead. I just got to sort this out with the dentist in Belgium and I'll be right there. Needless to say, never made it to Australia and got stuck in Belgium for a couple of years because that dentist visit turned into this. So anywho, we broke up, like I said, about 6 weeks before that diagnosis, due to the fact that it was becoming clear that I wasn't going to make it and the long distance was killing us. I was committed, I was all in, but she was no longer feeling it. Fair enough. But when I received that diagnosis, naturally, the first person that I called and that I wanted to speak to about this, regardless of the context of our current relationship, was her. I did spend my last 2 years plus with her. She knew everything about me. I knew everything about her. And though we had just romantically ended, call me crazy, but I still expected her to be there on a human level, on a personal level, on a friendship type level. So I remember I got the diagnosis. I was there with my dad. I walked out and I called her. Like, I didn't even think about it. I just, I remember standing in that hallway and calling her, and she picked up, and I was like, they're gonna cut off my jaw. I just found out that I have a bone tumor and I need a full-on amputation. And she said, okay, but why are you calling me? And to this day, and I've said this many times, that moment right there hurts more than cancer ever did. Because it made me question everything about life, everything I had with her. Made me question if it was ever real. Took me years to get over that. Years. I was just absolutely devastated by that lack of empathy on her end. Little fun fact, about a decade plus later, sometime last year, she actually reached out to me, wanted to reconnect. Funny how that always ends up happening, right? In the end, they always come crawling back. All jokes aside, I did bring up that specific conversation a moment, and then she vehemently, this is like territorial, oh my god, she vehemently denied that her having happened. And her reasoning was, I would never say that, and if I had, I would remember. Like, that's crazy. I don't know. That's like a core traumatic experience. So I'm pretty sure it did happen, and I do remember well. So yeah. So yeah, number one. Now to spice things up, not to make it too dramatic, second one is going to be a little bit more medical, graphic, and you might think like it's not that big of a deal, but to me, it was real to me. God damn it, it was really bad. So, and I feel like this is a taboo that no one ever talks about. But so if you go in for surgery, if it's like a long surgery, and for example, I've had multiple 16-hour plus surgeries. You're laying on that table and you're unconscious, so you can't go to the bathroom, you can't pee. So what they do is they literally shove a tube up your penis, which is then later on removed after you wake up. But I'm happy that the camera was not panning, because I literally instinctively kind of like grabbed my lower body. Even talking about it gives me like the shivers. This is like, I'm not kidding, guys. This is something that is like real trauma for me. So like when they pull it out later on, it really like, it's a pain, it's a feeling that you can't really, I don't know, maybe it's just me, it's a personal thing, but that for me has always been way worse than getting cut open or bleeding a bunch or whatever. Like there's just something about that area. I don't want anything going in there. And then, so I was aware of that. So I had this full-on communication plan with the nurse, with the doctors. Like I planned it all out. And so I was like, hey guys, this is a big deal to me. I have like actual nightmares about this. So can you do me a favor? And can you empty my bladder right before you wake me up, and then take it out as I'm still unconscious, so when I wake up, it's already out, and I don't have to go through that. Sure, yeah, fine, great, no problemo. Plot twist! Your boy woke up, the tube was out, so they had gotten that part right. But so then, they found out, they did a scan of my bladder, and they found out that my bladder was basically full, so they had forgotten to empty it. Now, I can hear you guys saying at home, like, so then you could just pee, right? So for some reason, when that happens, you can't pee it out. Like, it's not like I was paralyzed, it's just like, I'm not a doctor, but I promise you, it's like stuck in there, and you can't get it out yourself. So I was like, what? And then they go, okay, we're so sorry, but we're gonna have to put it back in so it can be extracted and then take it back out. So I was worried about just the pulling out part. The putting in part never happens when you're conscious. That happens when you're already under. So, ironically, due to my efforts to avoid this horrible situation, I ended up making a 10 times, well, not me, they were goddamn incompetent and didn't follow through on my one sole wish in life. And so they had to put it back in with me being awake. And I remember I was like, no, I'm not doing it, fuck you motherfuckers, like, I'm gonna pee it out. And I tried for like an hour. I remember like doctors and nurses standing there waiting, and they were like, you're not gonna be able to pee it out. I'm like, I don't care, don't come near me. Couldn't pee it out. And then I was like, okay, you gotta put me back under. I wanna be like full on asleep again. They're like, we can't do that. That's not like allowed, just for that. And so they had to put it back in while I was, awake. And that was fucking horrible. Like, I still every now and then have like nightmares about that. Number 3, moving on quickly. Sorry about that. I can bet that viewership will have dropped significantly after that segment. Number 3, on a more serious note, I would say it's not one moment, it's like multiple, like it's like a collection of the same moment over and over. Me meeting women that I have amazing conversation with, that tell me they're into tall, strong, emotionally available men that have a lot of empathy, So basically, women that seem a perfect match for me, I can tell the vibes are all there. Like, it's just, basically a great fit. And then that moment when they basically tell me, or I find out, like yeah, like I love you and all this stuff, but like we're just gonna be friends. And call me crazy, but a couple of different times, I know that the hump that they just couldn't get over was my scar, which is fair, but it doesn't make it hurt less. And so just not knowing that, had I met them with a normal face, my OG original face, we would have been able to have, something beautiful romantically. But many, many times I've been put into the best friend category, and not gonna lie, that has hurt me quite a lot in my life. Number 4, maybe the toughest one. My mom, man. My mom, when I was going through my hardships, my trials and tribulations, my 2 cancers, which included 10 months of chemo, which were 6 rounds of chemo, a bone marrow transplant, numerous amputations, reconstructions, like literally 30 plus surgeries in total. And she was my rock. She dragged me through. As I've mentioned before, visiting hours were 2 or 1 till 5. She was there 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. bringing home cooked food because I didn't like the hospital food. And she was always in the best mood, always with a smile, always patient, whatever I needed. She got me, and she held up for years. And as soon as it became clear that I wasn't going to die and that I was actually going to make it, because mind you guys, I had 1 cancer, and then basically a year out, and they told me it was like a 3 cancer that I shouldn't have gotten, and that I was never going to get cancer again. And then I got a 2nd cancer like a year later. And usually when people die of cancer, that's how it goes. It's like, oh, it's gone, and then it's back, and then it keeps coming back, and then, that's it. It's never a good sign, needless to say, when it comes back. And so when I made it out the woods, and it was clear that I was going to make it, she finally snapped. She broke. You can compare it to, like, those stories about a mother, like stopping a car or lifting up a truck because her baby's under it. Like that's real. Like, people do get superhuman abilities under great pressure, under great stress. And so my mom hung in there for years, but then as soon as it was clear that I was going to make it, she basically, her body and her mind presented her with the check, with the bill of going into the red for many years. And she basically developed a very persistent sleeping issue. So she could no longer sleep at night, and that's how far, I'm not going to get into details because we are talking about my mom here and something personal, but she aged many years in those years. You can see pictures before and after, and I feel very guilty about that. That's something that I have to live with, and that is that is the most painful thing that, to come out of that entire situation. Just seeing how she sacrificed everything for me so I could make it, and yeah. All right, number 5 may have some recency bias, but I want to say and this is, I would also say, the one and only regret I have in life. Because I don't have regrets, I'm not fatty. I don't really believe in regrets. But I would be lying if I said that wasn't my sole regret. It's my ex-girlfriend. Her name is Itzel, who I met last year and who I fell absolutely in love with, head over heels. And I ended up fumbling that relationship due to negligence on my end, due to kind of being lazy and nonchalant, and I still haven't recovered from that. Like to this day, like I dream about it, I have nightmares about it, I go through the full-on episodes where she's there in my dream, and I've ran back the movie a million times in my head. And I've never spoken about this on camera. What was the actual reason? What happened? So she told me when we met, she had one condition. She's like, look, the one thing I can't deal with is lying. I've been lied to in the past. I've been cheated on and betrayed in the past, and that's just something that I'm very sensitive to. And she's like, I don't give second chances when it comes to that. And I was like, that's great, because I'm not a liar. I'm not, I've never cheated in my life. So yeah, perfect. This is a great match. I'm all about honesty and directness. Without getting into details, and then I remember her telling me at some point that the greatest gift that I had given her was giving her the ability to slowly learn how to trust again after not trusting people. And what ended up happening was I was still very good friends with my ex at the time. I told her about that. We spoke about that. It was all good. I actually told her about it on the first date to get that out of the way, and it was fine for her to still be my wife and be my friend. And so when I went back to Belgium last year, the same way I did this year, I met up with my ex for a coffee, and then my girlfriend at the time was like, I know what I said, but I changed my mind and I'm not okay with it. I'm like, what? So okay, we talked about it. I then never, I didn't see my ex again that trip all the way until the end. So all this time, 3 months and a half, me and my girl are doing long distance. We are video calling every day, keeping it going, counting down, hanging in there. 6 days before returning to Mexico City, my ex, the other ex who I was still friends with, was like, hey, I haven't seen you all summer, the fuck? And I was like, yeah, I know. And so I felt guilty, I felt bad towards her. And I was like, let's just, let's before I go, let's say goodbye. So we had a coffee. I invited her over for a coffee at my house because she used to live at my house with my family. My mom and my dad obviously know her very well, so I didn't think anything of it. Dumb as fuck in hindsight. And I made the terrible lapse in judgment that I was like, I know this is nothing. I know I'm no longer in love with my ex. I know it's just a friend. And I didn't want to bring it up 6 days before going back. Because I knew it was going to cause a bunch of drama and unnecessary fighting. And we had to come that far. So I was like, I know it means nothing, but I'm not going to be able to convey that message to my current girlfriend. She's not going to believe it. Also culturally, it's just different. Latin American culture when it comes to those things is extremely different from my Belgian Western culture. So I was just like I said, lazy, complacent about it. I was also tired. I had long COVID at the time, So I was just exhausted 24/7. So I was like, I can just avoid this by not telling her. Like, yeah. And so she came over, we had coffee. I spent the 4 hours with her at my house. I spent 98% of the time talking about my current girl, how in love I was, how much I was looking forward to my life with her, to go back to Mexico City to see her again. I was like, she might be the one. Like, I was playing voice notes to like show her voice to my ex at the time, you know? I was just like, all I did was talk about her, and, you know, yeah. Long story short, my girl found out, and she was, yeah, she said, you lied to me, which, yeah, I guess I did. I mean, I never said, like, I just didn't tell her. But yeah, that's lying. Like, that whole, like, it's not lying, I just didn't tell you. Like, so yeah, as soon as she asked me the next day, she found out. How she found out is not important. Let's just say that social media is the devil. And when she asked me, I immediately said, she asked me like, what did you do yesterday? And so I was like, okay. I immediately told her, because just, going by the question, I assumed, and yeah, I'm not a liar. Like, even though, yeah, no. So I know I sound like a hypocrite. I know I sound like a piece of shit saying that. Like, I'm not a liar, but I lied. Like, yeah. It's like context, nuance, things happen, But I did mess up. I'm not gonna deny that. I was stupid as hell. And basically, I was never able to convince her that I had just seen her for a coffee at my house. She was like, I know you cheated. I know you had sex. Like, all of her friends, they all hated my ass. And they were all like, of course you cheated. Like, how dumb are you? And the thing is, if it wasn't me and somebody told me the story, like, yeah, it's really easy to be like, you're really gonna believe they just had coffee at his house? Like, why did they have to have coffee there? Like, I know how horrible. I just got stung. I know how bad it looked, and I kind of get it. And despite my best efforts to convince her that that's like nothing had happened, and I had just spent the entire time talking about her, she just wouldn't believe me, and the relationship ended like 3 days before making it back. And then I did see her when I got back, but it was never the same, and the vibes were off, and she had a lot of resentment and anger towards me, and it just ended up, dying. The whole thing died. And that is something that is still something I carry with me to this day, and that I regret, and that I obsess over in an unhealthy way. It's still in the back of my mind. It's just at random times it'll still come up in my mind, and I'll get sick to my stomach and just be like, oh, like, I can't believe I handled that situation so poorly. So there you go. Top 5 worst moments of my life. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment below what you think. Don't forget to hit the thumb up, and I'll be back real soon with more content. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for being here. I love you all. Peace.